What's up, guys? Dennis here with Dream Killer BJJ and PGL with my boy Alec. Going to go over a technique for you guys, alright? So it's going to be a wrist lock from closed guard, so check it out. Alright guys, so I'm in closed guard, and most of the time this guy's going to posture up, he's going to put his hands here, and look, you can hear how I'm breathing, right? This guy's strong, his elbows are in, and he's postured up. So I'm going to go through it fast once. This is a quick screamer, alright? So if you do this, be careful in training, but when you hit this live, it's very fast and very quick. So boom. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so what's happening here? I'll break it down. His wrists, his palms are on my hips, right? And they're facing to the outside. So look at the angle of his wrist. Right there in a natural wrist lock position. So I'm going to take my opposite hand. I'm going to feed it inside behind the tricep, above the elbow. Boom, notice I'm sitting up. My shoulders are off of the mat. My outside hand, my elbow is going to mirror his arm. So look, my forearm is mirroring his forearm. This is important. I don't want to be wide, right? This is a common mistake. If I'm wide, circle your hand out. Boom, he has elbow play. He can circle his hand out. I lose my position. So right here, I mirror and I cup my fingers. Boom, I cup. Now look, guys, I gotta be sitting up, all right? I'm gonna move my hips a little bit to this side as I pull my elbows in tight. And I sit up. So what's happening, look at his wrist.
It's a lot of pressure.
Boom. And I sit up and I pull that thing in till I get my tap. All right, so one more time, full speedy. Boom, this guy postures up. I'm here, I'm fighting. Boom, and I get it. All right, guys? So give that one a try. Make sure that you let your partner have time to tap if you're doing this in training. In a fight, just a screaming tap and it's done. Thanks.
Here's a wrist lock that I really like to do. First, I'm going to control his arm here. And now what he wants to do is he wants to pull his arm out to escape. What I'm going to do is control his wrist, and I don't want him to bring his wrist all the way back in. Now I'm going to grab the top of his hand. In a wrist lock, all I do is lean forward and apply the pressure. Now I tapped him out with the wrist lock. One more time, control the arm here. As he defends and brings his arm in, I secure the wrist. Now my other hand comes on top of his hand. I squeeze my elbow down, apply the pressure, tapping him out. Now I'm going to do it on the other side for you to see. I got the arm. He tries to escape. I control the wrist. I don't let him bring this wrist back inside. Now my other hand comes on top of his hand. I close my elbow down tight. I don't want him to be able to pull his arm out. Now I'm going to put the pressure on the wrist and tap him out.
Evan, here with Galaxy BJJ. I'm here with CSI, Red Belt Athletics. We're about to go over a little wrist lock that I like to do. So first, when you're starting to close guard, your opponent's going to have a grip on your wrist here, okay? Now, what we want to do is we want to trap one of his arms, okay? The first movement is we're going to bring our arm up to our chest, okay? After we bring our arm up, this is the arm we're going to trap. My hand's going to go over and try to lock his elbow down to my hip, okay? After I lock that down, my knees come up, and I lock along the back of his arm so he can't pull his arm out. From here, my wrist is going to turn over and bend his wrist backwards, okay? This hand's going to come inside and grab my bicep. From here, I bend the wrist backwards for the tap. One more time. So we're here in closed guard. Bring the arm up. Lock the wrist over. Bring my knee up and lock behind the elbow. Bend the wrist over. My arm comes inside. Grab my bicep. Keep squeezing for the tap. Look.
Now if you want to get tricky, here's a cool wrist lock. So you bridge up, catches, I do my insertion, and now check out the back of my calf on the back of his elbow right here. I backstop it, and then I use my palm on the top of his wrist here and go into the wrist lock.
See him keep trying to work there.
Turn towards him. He's going for that bar and arrow, Pete. Fight that hand,
That's what
fight that
I
hand.
thought so.
Alright guys, welcome back. We're showing you guys some funky no-gi positions. We're at VT1. We're going to do a wrist lock attack from the back. I love this position. Okay, so I've got my friend over here. Just a quick point when you're attacking the back, okay? A lot of people, they let their wrist get grabbed, but it's no good because now he's in control of me. So when I'm attacking the back, one of the first things I want to do is grab his wrist. Grab my wrist, Duncan. Look, he can't grab my wrist to defend. Now that I'm in control, it's very easy for me to initiate my attacks, my arm bars, my chokes, my triangles, okay? So, first thing I like to do is this. But what tends to happen is, as I go for the choke, he's going to defend with one hand, there. Now watch here, guys. Really, really simple. I first came onto this, Andre Galvo tapped me with it, and I was like, this is pretty good. So we've added to our arsenal. I come to here, the one that's on the wrist now is going to go underneath his fingers. Like this, okay? So he's grabbing onto my wrist. I go underneath his fingers. Now, from here, I pretend I'm going to the armbar. But as I go like this, I grab on my own knuckles. Now, as I spin for the armbar here, my belly traps his wrist. And, my belly traps his elbow. And then I start squeezing. Now, if I can get to here, obviously this is strong. But at that stage, I just extend for the armbar. So coming back, it's really, really simple. First, I'm initiating the attack, pinch the knees, curl the heels. I'm grabbing his wrist, stopping him moving around, and stopping him grab my wrist. But sometimes it happens when I go for the choke. He grabs my wrist. So I take my fingers on the inside here. Now, when I go over the top here, I'm going to double grab, so over my own 4 fingers. This is going to be where my belly goes, so his arm can't move, so it's isolated. And then I come to here. He's going to be defending the leg for the armbar, otherwise I just hit the armbar. Now from here, all I do is I pull in here, and I'm just going to push into my belly. It's a really simple position. And when he starts defending, here he starts defending on this, I can bring my leg around and finish the armbar, because he's not going to be thinking about it. So it's a really, really simple back tap that I really like, and it's pretty effective. Just be careful with your partners because it comes on very quickly. Alright guys, we'll see you next week for some more funky attacks.
Okay, in this video we're going to look at a nice tip for switching into effectively a wrist lock or a wrist extension position off of a standard straight armbar setup or elbow extension setup, and how we can look for a sneaky little submission in that point there, and if that doesn't work out for us, how we can switch it back to the elbow extension and effectively use it to break the grip. So wrist control pieces from here aren't utilised that much in MMA, and I personally think they should be utilised more. They're very effective ways of effectively getting someone to move or flinch or manipulate, because you get that pressure on from there, and even if you can't get the submission itself, it can make them have to change position and lead them into an alternative. When we're doing the wrist positions from here, let me show you the front thing that we're going to look at from here. So effectively, we're going to be looking at setting up a standard straight armbar from here, and when this person locks down on these arms to try and prevent it, we're going to be getting in on their wrist and then utilising some submission work here to effectively get them to either tap from this itself, or if they have to give up the grip to try and defend it, to switch back into the armbar. So when we're coming up, just come back up again for the break. So when we're coming into this submission here, one of the things you need to understand straight away is that effectively we're stretching out these tendons that run down the back of the arm. And if we bring it in this way, it can be pretty painful in itself, but these tendons effectively stretch all the way through the forearm and all the way into the fingers. So if we have the arm bent, it's more painful again than it is if it's straight, because if you can imagine that stretch going all the way through the elbow. And then if we can continue this curl, and look at the little finger here, if we can move this in towards the forearm, it's stretching that whole set out even further. So I'm always trying to look at the little finger side and effectively bring that onto the forearm from there. So then if I can knock this down and bring the little finger into the forearm here, that can make it super stretched out through these tendons, and that's where it becomes very painful and I can get a person to move or tap. Swing around this way. Okay. So let's imagine that I've got myself into a nice position or I'm about to set up the elbow extension or straight arm bar from here, and this person's locking down and trying to cover up these arms. Now this one's not particularly available to me, the far one from here, but this near one, you'd be amazed at how often you can manipulate this through. So even when they're locking down pretty tight on this, there's always good opportunities to go after this hand. Now, I can do this in a bunch of different ways. See how these fingers are turned out this way? I can do it this way from here. I can turn it inwards and do it this way from here. It doesn't matter as long as I can get effectively around the back of the hand and start to manipulate it. So for a second I'm going to clear this one out of the way so it's very easy to see. So we've got this hand in this position and I've got to do some digging in with my fingers and get behind the back of the hand from here. Once I get from behind the back of the hand, I'm then going to try and lock this elbow into my chest. If his elbow's free and it's wandering around, it allows him to take pressure off the hand. If I keep this elbow locked into my chest, tighten up my elbows into my sides, and then this will help me to increase the pressure. So with one hand, I'm just keeping the wrist in the right shape, in the right place, and then with the other hand, trying to manipulate the little finger in towards the forearm from there. So one to keep it straight, and then the other one to apply pressure onto the little finger from there. A bunch of different ways you can do this grip, but the principle is always the same, nice and straight, little finger pressure into the side. So come back here, Craig's locking this down, nice tight grip through your knees, controlling this anyway, the other guy's not going anywhere for a second, I've got a little bit of time to work, I'm not going to pretend this is easy, but bang, if I can sneak this under from here now, and start turning this hand, look in this instance, up and away towards his legs. Now look, if I can lock this in onto my chest and join in with the second hand, then I can start bringing it this way. So now this is very difficult. Craig can hang on to this and I can complete the wrist extension, and if he lets go to try and flinch his arm back out and throw it towards me to relieve the pressure, then of course I can go straight back into the elbow extension. So I'm looking for a position where whether he keeps it tight or whether he lets it out to try and relieve the pressure, I've got a submission either way. So once again, he's in here, I'm trying to manipulate my fingers inside, get to the back of the hand, lock this elbow into my chest, and then start manipulating this hand off. Little finger side, pressure on, if he flinches, go back to the elbow extension, or try and finish with the wrist. So that's using a wrist lock or a straight wrist extension to get the person to break the grip or tap out from a straight arm bar, straight elbow extension, set up position.
Once you end up here, everybody has a whole bunch of different finishes. Something that I like to do, I'm going to sit up, my right hand is going to go all the way around and grip his pinky. So I'm really driving in, gripping his pinky. As soon as you get this, you pin this to your chest, and all I need to do is make a slight turn, and it's a wrist lock right there. So when we end up here, I'm really trying to come up, and I hug. As soon as I hug, I pin this to my chest and turn. One more time. So we're inside. I got my Kimura grip. I switch my hip. His arm comes. I'm almost baiting this roll at this point. Like I'll literally just do this and get him to think. I pull this in, get the omoplata in there. Now when I get this, I'm gonna sit up. My right arm is gonna come over. At this point, I don't care if he rolls. As soon as you get this, I don't care if he rolls. Because as soon as you got this, look, this wrist lock is so tight that it's gonna go either way. And if for some odd reason this fails, you can always pull back your arm. That's one.
I'm Charles Nazi, and I'm going to be going over a really sneaky wrist lock from full mount. So you can start side control however you need to. Let's just say they're bringing their knees up. Again, just monitor their knees. Slide your knee across. That's mount. Okay. So now, here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to threaten a key lock. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my chest low, my weight low, my knees wide. I'm going to go to an elbow, a wrist, and I'm going to pry it off to the side. I'm going to leave this big open space. Most people right here, they know key lock. They know how embarrassing it is. So a lot of times they just start reaching for their own arm. So as soon as that happens, I slide up and I catch it. Okay? So I can either keep them like this and go through for an arm triangle, but a lot of people right here, they'll start going straight to their back. Okay, so they go straight to their back, right here. So, depending on where his wrist is, I'm going to attack his wrist. If his fingers are facing up, I use my chest and I plane upwards. Okay? The easier way is to pull their fingers down so I can get their knuckles to go into the ground. From there, there's no muscles on the back of the hand fighting. So again, this one's super sensitive. Okay? So, starting from the beginning again, here, elbow wrist, I pry it off. Right here, he turns to grab his wrist, I reach under, I grab. From here, I can use my chest to resettle him on his back. If his fingers are up, I plane my chest upwards. Otherwise, I can use my other hand to pull him down and then just any amount of weight straight down.
Wow.
Afferro con forza il suo polso destro. Infilo il mio braccio sinistro e vado a chiudere con la mano sinistra la presa sul mio polso destro. Mi posiziono, cerco di portare il suo gomito, non deve stare esterno, devo portare il suo gomito sulla mia pancia. Il suo gomito destro deve stare sulla mia pancia. Questo. Con la presa della mano destra salgo non sul polso, ma sulle nocche della mano. Vado a fare pressione sulle nocche della sua mano, mentre sto con questo gomito stretto al fianco per non far uscire il suo gomito destro sta sulla mia pancia, faccio pressione e applico una leva al polso.
Say go and hit that red button.
Go.
Hey guys, this is John Connors at Connors MMA, Mad Dog Jiu-Jitsu again. My student Jesse. We have another sneaky technique for you. This is a wrist lock that's going to torture and torment your training partners and your opponents. So this one comes on fast, so be careful so you don't hurt your partners. So I'm going to do this with side control. So here I am on top of side control. I got one hand underneath my opponent's head, the other hand underneath his arm. Sometimes the guy at the bottom will put his hand here on your shoulder to look for a position here so he can push off and create space. Yeah. So I'm going to attack this wrist right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my chin to bend his wrist a little bit more than he wants it bent. And I take my hand out from underneath his head and I capture his elbow. Then I just turn my shoulder in just like that. And if you can see, he's tapping me as I'm bending his wrist more than he wants to bend. So here I am. In side control, he grabs my shoulder. I use my chin to bend that wrist. I come over and I get the tap just by rolling my shoulder over a little bit here. That's it. Another sneaky technique from Connors MMA. See you on the mat.
Okay, so we're working here in a half guard, guys. Check this out, De Niro. You're gonna make them scream. We're gonna put this hand on the bicep because their reaction here in the half guard, they want to swim the arm. Okay, when I put this hand here, they're gonna go to swim. I'm gonna catch that on my chest. Look, Moncha Vaca, hand of cow. Looks like a cow hand, you know? Okay, you see, he tap a little bit. Okay, we make real heavy. Okay, so coming back to basics, make sure they tap a couple times, you know? Make sure. You don't want to be close call and they come with that little story, oh, I didn't tap, you know? It's better you make sure, okay? So here we go on the bicep and they swim and I'm gonna catch that. You see, I'll push this over to my chest a little. Sometime it'll land bullseye, but a lot of time I just give a little push, put this hand behind the elbow, and I'm gonna pressure. A lot of tap, samba, dance. Okay, we're gonna make him dance. So I'm here, dance. Okay, so right there is for sure, he's tapping, okay? There's no doubt. Okay, that's how it's gonna be. So bicep, all right, maybe we start here. We here in the half guard. We fight it, I put this here and he go to swim. Catch that elbow. Okay, that's a tap. A tap. By a jiu-jitsu chop. Now De Niro do it. Make him dance, De Niro. Chill. Yeah, but no. Set this lower. Yeah, there you go. So his arm can't slide that way. You swim it. Yep, now. Yeah, set it there. Heavy chest, heavy chest. Yeah. Oh my God, look at this. Yeah, give it. Yeah, there we go. Now we talking. Jiu-jitsu chop! Jiu-jitsu chop! In the house, ATTPSL. Make him dance one more time. He deserves it, don't worry. Okay? Yeah, give him that moncha vaca, hand of cow. I love this. So look at that, look. See, it's like this. Look at that hand of cow. Put a little pressure. Look his body. Okay? He's laughing. Laugh now, cry later. Wrist lock, moncha vaca.
Alright guys, check this out, a quick little wrist lock from top half guard here. A lot of times when the guy's down flat, he wants to swim this under to get space, okay? I'm going to kind of let him, guys. I'm just going to put my hand here. He still feels free to swim that arm. And when he does, I pin this down. So he's still going to dive it in. He's going to catch his own wrist. I grab, pin everything down, I pull it to my throat, pressure. Get the tap.
Hey guys, I'm Nick Chewy Alvin, the head jiu-jitsu instructor at Derby City Mixed Martial Arts in Louisville, Kentucky. This is my friend Jason. I'm going to be showing you guys a wrist lock. So I was actually lucky enough to hit this in a competition recently. So when we're in half guard, guys, we're constantly pummeling and fighting for the underhook control, okay? And sometimes if the guy's very tight with his elbow here, it's very hard to actually get this underhook under here, in there, and you get stuck here. So what we're going to do, come closer right here, see, is we're going to come behind the elbow. I'm going to basically put his elbow right to the crease of my arm here, okay? Now it's important that I don't just simply put my arm all the way through, because if I do this, he can re-grip and actually sweep me the other way, okay? So I'm going to put my elbow against his, or rather the crease of my arm against his elbow. Now, this hand, all I'm going to do, guys, is start to work this, what we call gooseneck, okay? Hand down, top, and I'll put the other hand over it, and I'm going to keep tight right there, okay? So let's look at that again, guys. So maybe we've been fighting for underhook here. The guy's elbow is very, very tight, and I can't get under there. So I'm just going to slide my hand through along his forearm, crease my arm behind the elbow. This hand is going to cup the top of his hand, and this hand will finish by coming over top. We stay tight, and we want to pinch our elbows together and finish. So we pinch your elbows together and pull it tight. All right, thanks, guys.
Hey guys, I'm here at Marcelo Garcia Gym. My name is Matheus Nias. I'm here for my friend Vinicius Ferreira Trator, and today I'm going to show you guys wrist lock from a half guard. Alright, we're going to start on the half guard over here, okay? And on this situation over here, I'm going to make sure I have an underhook, okay? And the whole time I'm going to be controlling his wrist. Why? Because it's very common. The guy's going to try like to get under you, you know, and I want to avoid that. Okay, now look, I'm going to control his wrist. I have my hips flat on the ground because I don't want him to free his knees, alright, and keep a really good distance from me. What I'm going to do, this hand, I'm going to go as high as possible. Why? Because I don't want him to put his back flat on the ground, alright, and it's going to be very easy to him escape from the position, alright. And guys, this position is very it's most like surprise my opponent, you know. Most of the time your opponent is going to scream or he's going to try tap real quick. Alright, and then you guys have to be careful to practice on the gym. Okay, look, I have my hips flat, I have the underhook, I make sure I keep my head tucked the whole time because it's very common. He's gonna start make a frame on me, and then I'm gonna miss his arm. I'm gonna make sure I have everything closed over here, control behind his neck over here, everything tight. Now I'm gonna make sure I bend his arm a little bit over here because I wanna have the connection of his elbow on his body over here. Okay, it's like a wall. And then I'm gonna be controlling his wrist. When I feel this chest, I'm gonna move my hand close to his arm. And now I'm gonna close everything. I'm just gonna drive my arm his arm like to his belly over here. Okay, it's like a very strong position. Alright, one more time. Imagine like he started on the half guard. I'm controlling his wrist. I get the underhook. I put him flat. I keep controlling his arm. He's not gonna expect. He just think like I'm bothering him here till he don't get under. My hip is very flat on the ground because I don't want him to free his knees. Alright, make sure my head stay tight. I make a grip behind his shoulder over here. Now look, I drive his arm a little bit and then I switch. When I switch, I just make sure everything's tight. I keep pulling him. I'm just gonna drive and finish the wrist lock. Alright guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the position. Thank you so much. Us.
Hi, I'm Melissa. This is for Girl Jitsu, and I'm going to show you a wrist lock from side control. So what you're going to do, you're going to start in the side control. Nice and tight here. And what we want to do is we're going to give a little space for them to underhook their arm. And I'm going to stop her. Put the elbow to the floor, and then I'm going to adjust a little bit here. My other arm will come across, grab her elbow, and then you're going to dip your shoulder down for the wrist lock. And show again. You start in the side control. You give a little space. Stop. Push the elbow to the ground. Come around. If you need to adjust, you can. You want to keep this elbow nice and tight, everything nice and tight, and then you dip your shoulder down. And that was a wrist lock from side control.
Hi, this is Roy Marsh again with Brian Urban, and I'm doing this as kind of a response to Derek Thundercat Richardson showing a cool wrist lock. So I thought I'd show one that I use a lot. This is probably one that I hit probably more than any other wrist lock. And it's based off of that same knee cut pass that I showed in a video before. So we're going to get you out this. Good here. So again, I get low, I cut across, controlling his hip. My head goes to the mat, blocking. I have the underhook, have my head, and I'm starting to pass. He would like to turn in and block, but I've got the head block. So he really has no idea. He can't use his frame to stop me coming forward. So he's going to post up my hip a lot of times to really stop me going. Okay. From here, I'm just going to cover his hand. You can come over the thumb. I actually like to get my thumb inside his thumb so the knuckles are just in my hand. Here, he's pushing on my hip. I'm just going to step my leg back. From here, I'm going to push his elbow forward. At some point, go ahead and slide up a little bit. It's going to hit a point where it can't go any higher, and it's going to roll. Okay? It may happen early, it may happen late. So again, I'm here. He's blocking my hips from coming forward. I'm going to control. I'm not going to push from here. I'm going to step back, then come, and then roll it up. Now, sometimes I get here. He's posting on my hip. I'm trying to come forward. He's blocking me. I step back. I control, and maybe he's really strong, and I can't do this. I can't bend his wrist. I can't do anything. This knee is going to slide from here. Now I'm going to turn and go ahead and hit my wrist lock again. So one more time. From here, get low. Boom, I start cutting through. I'm really driving his head. He's trying to block. Back. Up. Or it's really strong. Cut, turn it in. And right here. And that's our knee cut pass to the wrist lock, because why bother passing if you can go ahead and wrist lock?
TeachMeGrappling.com here, and I'm just going to show you guys a sneaky little wrist lock. This is a 2-on-1 standing up, just trying to demonstrate. The move usually isn't going to be done standing very often unless the opponent is very unaware, but it's a great place to learn it. I have a 2-on-1. Some people call it the Russian 2-on-1. My right hand that's cupped around the biceps is going to cover the knuckles. As my left hand uses my thumb to control the wrist, my right hand will cover the knuckles. And then I'm going to get a basic like a gooseneck wrist lock. I'm going to double up, keeping my elbows in and then covering the elbow with my chest. So you got to keep that elbow trapped into your stomach area, and that way you can kind of lean over it. That way the elbow doesn't pop up, hit you in the chin. So you want to put 2 hands on it, double it up, squeeze your elbows together, and then you can apply a wrist lock. Again, not very often from standing are you going to be able to pull this off, but it'll work on somebody that doesn't know much. Some drunk dude you're trying to take out of the bar, possibly. So, but it's a great way to practice the technique, learn how to keep your body weight over it and control it. Now, on the floor, it's a little bit easier, and another popular way you might see this done is from the closed guard. I'll control the arm in a 2-on-1. It's slightly different because my right-handed grip is different, but pretty much the same thing. Pull them forward with your legs. Your left arm, it's like an overhook, but their hand is not on the mat. And then you can swipe with your left hand, pulling those knuckles back, and then double up. Hold them tightly in the guard, making sure their elbow can't pop out. If you give them too much space, the elbow will pop out, and you'll lose it. So it's not super high percentage, but you can certainly catch somebody by surprise. Every once in a while, I'll come back to this technique, and if other things aren't working, the more conventional, and you'll catch somebody by surprise every once in a while. So good move to have in your arsenal, and you should be aware of it because you don't want to be the guy that gets caught. And my favorite way to get into it actually is not from the bottom, not from the guard, but while I'm executing a guard pass. I'm doing a knee slice pass or a cut pass. If they're using the knee shield, you don't want that. You want to avoid the knee shield. You want to keep your elbow to the inside, and that way you can try to slide through. And what happens is when you're in this situation, the person on the bottom likes to control your ankle. They bite down on the ankle, and that kind of gives them their last effort to kind of prevent you from passing the guard, and they try to recover from here. There's also a lot of sweeps that people like to do from here. So normally I'm trying to pummel. Normal game is try to pummel your arm, get your head nice and tight, and then knee slice outward, kick the leg free, and pass the guard. That's our standard finish. But in the middle of this action, as we battle here, you may be looking for like a DARS. You're looking for the overhook here. You might be looking to stuff your arm through for the DARS, but it's really difficult. My right knee is in a position where it kind of bothers my knee. I don't really like the DARS from here. But if I'm under control of the wrist and they're not giving the underhook up, it's very easy to kind of get into this wrist lock. So again, it's one of my favorite ways to get into this sneaky wrist lock. There's a little X pass, try to pass the guard, and then I end up in this situation. Right now she has her left arm around my leg. I'm playing the pummel game. She repummels, brings her hand in front. I get the overhook and then go straight to the wrist lock. Okay, it's a real sneaky attack. If you are in this situation, showing you again, even if you were to lose your balance, I look for the underhook. She brings the hand in front. I control the wrist, jam the overhook in from the backside like a whizzer, and then go attack the wrist lock. If for whatever reason you're getting bobbled here and you kind of get thrown towards the bottom person's left, it's no big deal. They can't even come on top. As long as you keep your elbows in, keep the arm trapped, you should stay with the submission, you should be fine. So I'm just going to drill it a couple more times, give you some action. I'm moving towards the left, looking for the underhook, keeping the person pinned down, controlling the wrist. Whizzer arm comes through, my chest comes down, and attack the wrist lock. A lot of times they're not expecting it. Okay, going to the other side, looking for the whizzer for the overhook, bringing their hand in front. They usually use that hand to try to defend the guard pass, so look to attack it. Once you start attacking it, they'll have their mind on that, and then you'll be able to do other things. So thank you guys so much. Thanks to all my subscribers out there with Teach Me Grappling. It's really growing quite rapidly lately. Thank you so much. We just passed 6,000 subscribers. Please hit subscribe and help me out. Thank you.
Thundercat, Enzo Gracie, black belt here. We're going to do a Kimura into a wrist lock from side control. So we're going to start in side control. And when I set my grip, a lot of people grab the wrist. I don't want to change that. I want to change that grip to a grip on the back of the 4 knuckles here, okay? With this grip, that does 2 things for me. One, if I'm attacking the Kimura, it's more difficult for him to grab his gi. I can pull it off easily because my fingers are in his grip.
All right, number 2. So I set this grip, I go under, I grab. Now he knows he's expecting the Kimura, so he's trying to defend. I'm gonna drop my head into his wrist. Now I'm gonna, almost like I'm doing a lat pull down, I'm gonna try to create a bend in the wrist using my head. So I put my head down and I pull. Now I've created the bend in the wrist. So now that I've got the bend in the wrist, I'm gonna push his hand towards my elbow and I get the tap. So one more time, I'm setting the Kimura, but instead of grabbing the wrist, I grab his hand. I set my attack. If he does grab and I still want to finish the Kimura, I can rip the grip off and finish. But I'm gonna drop my head, I'm gonna fold his wrist over my head. Now I bring his hand towards his elbow like I'm trying to grab my own wrist. It's important that you keep your elbow close to his elbow. I don't want my elbow under his shoulder. Elbow to elbow. Now go wrist lock somebody.
I scroll, I break up his takedown, and I got a guillotine. So I'm gonna wrap, and the correct way to grab is here, right? I grab my wrist. I gotta go deep, and I grab my wrist. Everybody can see the way I'm holding, right? So now, what I wanna do is I wanna lift Willie up. I wanna tighten this up, and I wanna lift, and I'm gonna cut off the circulation and his traps, right? So now, a small defense from there is the cow hand. Not a lot of people do it. Cow hand's the furthest thing from most of our minds when we're training. But if somebody locks up a guillotine, whether you're standing or on the ground, but especially standing, because most of the time, if you're wearing MMA gloves, it's hard to get the proper defense where you got to get in there and draw your arm over. Next thing you know, you can't breathe. So if they grip it correctly, this whole hand is available for you to cow hand. So I shoot on Willie. Oh, no, this way? He grabs me in the guillotine, arm out. Right? Yeah. I gotta grab with my cross. First I wanna hold him down for pulling me up. Then I wanna grab his wrist and pull it in. And I'm opening up his wrist. So Willie's got me in the guillotine here, right?
You wanna do this side?
No. He's got me here. I'm gonna grab him, and I'm going to grab his open hand, and I'm going to cow hand it, and it's going to open up his grip. So I'm going to shoot it on Willie. He locks me up. Alright? Now he's grabbing the wrist, he's pulling me up. First, I got to prevent him from pulling me up. I got to hold him here. Then I'm going to take my hand, because if I can't protect properly, because I got MMA gloves on or it's tight, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab his fist. And I'm going to pull it towards me, and it's either going to tap, or he's going to let go, and then I'm out. All right? The monkey grip, you got it like this. So if he's like that, you're going to reach in and open it up. All right? It works on the top and the bottom.
Okay, should we move around a little bit? We get to here. And instead of wrapping his shoulder here for the Kimura, with a double wrist lock, I'm actually going to put my armpit on top of his arm here, so I'm pinning. So if he raises his arm now, I've got it pinned. I reach back here to look for the double wrist lock or Kimura. As he grabs his shorts here, which is a very common defense, I'm going to look for another wrist lock. Okay, so we have this position. I'm going to put my hand on his hand and grab his elbow, and I pull the hand towards his belly and the elbow towards the side, here. Okay, so if his fingers are wrapped in, to pull this way, it's going to get tighter. So I pull it across, here. Drop my elbow down, pinning the elbow here, I'm going to push forward, twisting my hips to get that bend in the wrist. So one more time, he grabs his shorts, I can't get this free, so holding the hand and the elbow, I pull it into his body. Drop my elbow to my ribs and rotate my body, bending his wrist and getting this bent wrist lock here. Okay, the last submission in the series. I actually get it free. I think I can get hold of this double wrist lock now. Instead of pinning his head, I make a mistake and I step over his head. He starts to sit up. I think he's going to roll me over and I have to push him back down. So I'm going to put the back of his wrist on the mat. I'm going to drag it towards me. And if I'm going to put him back down on the mat, I'll try and get a submission on the way. So I bend the wrist, push him forward with my body. Okay, so I pull this in, put the back of the hand on the mat, drag it in nice and tight, get a good flex in that wrist, and I push forward with my body weight to get that submission. Okay, so one more time through. He starts to get the underhook. I push down, pull the elbow in, hook him with the right hand, left hand comes in, pull to my chest, and get the first submission. He goes a little bit deeper through this time, so I can't get my hand in. Trap his arm, go for my bent wrist lock, and he grabs his shorts. Pull to the belly, bend my elbow, and drive forward, getting the bent wrist lock here. Go for the double wrist lock again. I go to pin the head, but he ducks his head underneath and sits up. I think he might roll me over. So I'm going to put the back of a hand on the mat, drag towards me, and then push forward, getting the final submission. That's 3 wrist locks from the side control position. For more information on the Leicester Shoot Fighters Gym, you can find us at leicestermma.co.uk. And for more videos, check out the YouTube channel at warriorcollective.com.
And we're just going to play this through. I'm going to lean forward, pinch him with my wrist right here. Shoulder pressure is down on his arm. He fights to get his arm out. We catch it right here. Now at this point, I grab it at the hand, twist it, and put some pressure onto it like I'm doing a push-up. My shoulder is on his elbow, my hand is on his wrist. Okay? Move your arm right now.
Okay.
Okay.
It's locked.
Now I'm going to slide myself back, but I am going to, by doing that, release pressure here. So I can't do that. I want to keep pressure here. So I can't put body weight on it, but I can certainly put arm pressure on it. So as I shoot back, I launch my bottom arm straight through to grab my own hand. My bicep is not putting pressure there. Once I'm in this position, I settle in, and with 2 hands, I pull his hand straight into his shoulder. Once that's pulled straight in, I make sure my shoulder is pressing tightly into his tricep. Okay. At this point, I have really 2 options. Simplest is bring this elbow inside and rest it firmly on his jawline, on his throat, on his chest, whatever I can get. And never, ever, ever letting his hand away from his shoulder, I decide to rotate everything through. And that's where we finish it. Okay. The intention here is to keep everything tight. As soon as I start to allow my elbow to drop through, give him his arm his natural position back, he gets strong. Okay, we're here. He's hiding this arm from me. I keep my wrist stuck to him. I slide it forward, put the pressure on, roll my elbow, pin this through. Once my hand, I fight to get that through, bring everything inside. Once everything's inside, this elbow goes onto his neck, onto his jawline. I settle everything back, and pivoting off my elbow, rotate everything through that way. Now there's one more alternative. Okay. We're here, everything's the same up to a point. Pin this down, put my weight down, flare my elbow. Twist this, press it down, slide through, suck it in. If I'm finding I don't have the means to get my elbow in close, he's defending it to some extent here. I switch my hands out, immediately drop this elbow into where I want it to be, and without changing my grip, place my hand on top again, pinch everything in tight, lean onto his throat, and take this through. So one final time. Here, forward, flare it out, twist, press back, suck it in, elbow in, finish it. Good.